Hello, Frommers. Today I want to talk about something we didn't exactly talk in class, nor watch a video, nor read about. Well, we did mention it once, and that was due to Kretzler's Zen art drawing class meeting, that helps you to draw better. And what we talked about was the difference between right brain and left brain thinking. Now, normally you wouldn't think that there's a difference, but actually, in your head, you think you have one, but there's actually two brains going on. That's the right lobe and the left lobe, and they're actually two distinct organs connected by the corpus callosum, which is just like this band that crosses through the middle part of your head that actually connects them, allowing them to think. And there's actually a distinct difference between their functions. The left brain thinks more arithmetically, numbers, language, stuff like that, whereas the right brain thinks more in shapes and colors, emotion, and things along that line. So there's obviously a distinct difference between those two, and the corpus callosum helps them communicate, and that's how we become who we are. And that has something to do with like left hands and right hands, but that's something I really don't believe in. I believe that there is a distinction, but I don't believe in the fact that it's going to be dominated by one side of your body, but that's beside the point. But the point is the fact that at times we can start thinking in these two different modes of thinking, the left versus the right. We're thinking in math versus drawing. And people believe that there isn't a difference, that once you're in one side of the brain, you can't switch to the other. And I don't think that's true, because drawing, you have to go from left to right, and when that happens, it becomes very distinct, because you don't start, you stop thinking and you start being. And that kind of connects with what we're talking about in class, the difference between really experiencing the world around you and for what it is, than having all these preconceived notions that feed from your ego and your inner persona and anima that affects your relationship with others. And what we've talked about is that every time you hear a story, it can be one-sided, and that when that feeds into you, then you have only one view of something, as opposed to if you hear multiple stories, and then you make a judgment based on that. But what that connects to the brain is, and this was, I think, talked about by Jill in a TED video, which the link is in the description, but it has something to do with just seeing the world around you for what it is, unbiased, and how it is supposed to be seen by nature itself, and that it's not supposed to be seen but experienced. Anyway, Jill was talking about how she had a stroke once, and that while she was having the stroke, their entire left part of her brain was starting to get dysfunctional, so that she was starting to experience the world only in the right. And even though she was slowly dying of an aneurysm or something like that, she was actually starting to experience the world in a completely different manner. And anyway, but that connects to our Fromm class, because our brain controls so much of our actions that we don't even realize how deeply it affects us, like our nature and what happens with that. Like, to deny our nature is to deny ourselves, is one of the things we talked about in class. And that has to do with the left brain versus the right brain, because your left brain is all about rules, and it tells you all these things that you build from the world around you. That's inherent in the languages that we learn, in math we learn. There are laws and stuff that we have to abide by. But our right brain tells us to break away and just do what's right. And that's when we get these urges, it's probably from our right brain telling us that we need to go against what we think is right and just see what it is. And that's very similar to what we see in our drawings, in that it's much easier to draw when you're looking at an image upside down than when you're looking at it right side up, because when it's upside down, your left brain can't make sense of it. And when it can't make sense of it, your right brain is able to see how it is for what it is. And every single line and every single angle is so much easier to draw, because you're unaffected by all these rules in your left brain. In conclusion, these left brain principles are derived from these single stories that we learn. And from these single stories, that's where we start suppressing our right brain. And when we suppress our right brain, that's when we start doing very weird things that we probably shouldn't be doing. That's because they're against our nature. So next time you're just walking through the woods or just driving your car to work or to school or something like that, you may be used to all these laws while driving, or when you're just looking around, you're so used to all these surroundings. But when you're driving, it's very easy to slip into that right mode of thinking. So when that happens, just let it happen, or wherever you are, just let that happen. See the world as it is. Every line, look at it if it's upside down, and you'll start seeing that it's much easier to just work by your own rules, or for anything, just break your own rules. And that's, I think, what Jill is trying to talk about when she's doing her TED video. Thank you.